Something else that is interesting that we're following, obviously, the Epstein files, the releasing of the Epstein files, testimony that is to come. Just recently, we learned about Ghislaine Maxwell. She is taking the fifth. We learned that this morning. What does that entail? What exactly does that mean for her? Because if you're taking the fifth, does that mean she's taking the fifth for all questions that would be asked?
That is a great question. So this was a deposition via remote. She's not in D.C. She's still in the prison in Texas. Mm-hmm. It's either Texas or Florida. I think Texas. And remotely, she asserted the Fifth Amendment to everything. She may have given her name. So if the question is, can a person selectively invoke the Fifth? I'll answer this, but I won't answer that. The courts have said no. Either you invoke the Fifth for everything, and once you inadvertently answer something other than your name, you have given up your Fifth Amendment right. So her lawyers apparently told her, if you don't want to answer these questions, invoke the Fifth for everything. Now, here's an interesting question. Does she even have a Fifth Amendment right? What do you mean by that? Well, these alleged things that she's talking about happened more than 5 years ago. She's been in jail for 4 years. Right. She can't be prosecuted. So what Fifth Amendment right is she asserting? How could it possibly incriminate her if it's too late to sue her and it's too late to prosecute her?
Sure, makes sense.
But she asserted her Fifth, and I don't think Congressman Comer's committee is going to challenge that assertion in a federal court. And if they do, what are they going to do to her? She's got 16 more years in jail. They're not going to add to that.
I'm curious as to why you'd be reluctant to answer any questions.
That is a good question. You know, she had that interview with Todd Blanche, who's the Deputy Attorney General. And I read the transcript of the interview. It seemed the questions were perfectly appropriate, and her answers were more or less what the DOJ wanted to hear. And then they moved her from an unpleasant federal facility to a less restrictive federal facility. What is she still hiding? What does she not want to answer? Usually, her lawyer and the lawyers for Congressman Comer's committee would get together and agree on what she could answer. But her lawyer said, no, she's not answering anything. There's nothing to negotiate.
Right? They're not going to build a new case against her.
It's too late.
It's too late to do that. So at this point, why not cooperate?
I don't know.
It's just astounding.
I don't know. I can't get into her head, and you know we haven't seen anything. I do know that a lot of the questions were very, very pointed. Congressman Ro Khanna published the questions he was going to ask. You know, what do you know about President Trump's behavior with such and such a person?
Sure.
I'm not answering.
Sure. And still waiting again I believe on the 26th and 22nd, we'll hear from the Clintons and their testimony and what.
Well, they are not going to invoke the Fifth.
They're not going to do.
They have requested. The President Clinton has requested that this not be a private deposition, that it be in public.
But he can't. He can say that online, and he can state what he wants. But those are the conditions that are to be met behind closed doors with the attorneys.
Correct. And you and I have discussed this before. The depositions in private are far more professional. The questions are put by lawyers. The interrogations in public, the members of Congress, I don't want to criticize members of Congress. This is what they do for a living.
Yes.
They grandstand in front of cameras. They're not real questions like you get in a courtroom. Correct. Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton will get real questions from sophisticated lawyers who have the basis of research done by ex-FBI agents who work for the committee. So they don't need my advice, but they better prepare. They are going to be asked very pointed questions.
A little more than 2 weeks away from that. Judge Andrew Napolitano joining us today. Judge, good to see you.